Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Jeffrey Bundy, who's CEO at United Imaging Healthcare Solutions. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Jeffrey. So excited to get into United Imaging today and really to learn more about what you're doing and what has made you and your company really category disruptors. So we'll talk about that. And then you have another thing that you're really passionate about and that the company's working on. And that's really this idea of healthcare for all. And we'll go further into that also. But maybe just to get us kicked off, Jeffrey, we'll start this like we start all our shows. I'll start with our signature Mission Matters question. So Jeffrey, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. So that's our mission here. Jeffrey, what mission matters to you?
I love the question. And I have to say, it's probably connecting dots that lead to change. I love and I'm motivated by giving people new experiences, taking people places they've never been, or cooking something for them that they've never tasted before. And one of the most favorite things that I like to do is bring people together that have never met, either in business or in private life. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that in both settings. I love doing that because I love watching people who've never met come together and create something that neither one of them could do by themselves, and then create something special. And I'm building a team of industry experts. A lot of them never worked together before. They work together now. They're creating exciting things in our industry. But beyond that, also creating partnerships with academic physicians, entrepreneurs around the country to change healthcare in the United States. And when I look at giving people new experiences they've never had, in business, what drives me there is giving people access to healthcare that they've never had before. And that's what we're doing at United Imaging. It's a big part of our mission. It's, what we're focused on every day. And, one of the great examples of that is our digital mobile PET CT system. That system is a state-of-the-art system, kind of system that typically you'd see in an academic center, but we made it mobile. And with some partners, not just we make that system available in an academic center, but because it's mobile, it can be driven to a rural setting, whether rural Indiana or Ohio, Michigan, Nebraska. And so the same type of imaging that you get in an academic center where you would expect it, you get it in a rural setting where you don't expect it. And so I'm motivated by that, super excited to be able to build a team together and bring some change to our industry.
Man, that's big time, and big fan of what you're doing, and excited to bring on. I love to bring on mission-based entrepreneurs, executives, mission-based companies. So awesome having you on today. And I know we've worked together in the past, and I know some of the people that maybe haven't seen some of our previous work. Let's start off with maybe your background. So go a little bit further into just kind of how you got started on this path to United Imaging.
Yeah, I guess, even going back to being a kid, or in high school, I wanted to be in biomedical engineering, wanted to be in healthcare. And, I started out in school, undergrad, and then got a little bit distracted with some other things, went into business, actually was in ministry for a while as a youth minister, but then got back into maybe what my first love was, imaging or the medical field, and cardiac MRI was my area of interest, and started a career there. And going along the way, just fell in love with this industry, became committed to bringing change and new technology to people all over the world, basically, not just the United States, but globally.
So, I mean, some interesting themes here. Of course, like you went into business, you had some other things you're doing in the past, and like you were ultimately kind of drawn back to this. So when you say MRI, and like when you think about equipment, and even maybe some of the beautiful equipment in the showroom that you have behind you, like well, actually, first off, tell us a little bit about your backdrop. So I want to first off, and then I'll get back to my question because it's beautiful.
Yeah, sure. This is the aha moment. Anytime a customer comes to see us in Houston, you come around the corner and there's this beautiful hall of our CT and PET CT equipment, all lit up, designed by our head of marketing, and just a beautiful, beautiful display of the technology that we have. Super exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just had my aha moment. I'm like, wait a minute, I still haven't asked you about this backdrop. That's awesome. I didn't see that last time we spoke. So no, it's great. So okay, so now getting back to my question. So you, when people are thinking of MRI or like healthcare or equipment, like especially some speaking now to some of the younger generation or people that are looking at kind of starting their career in healthcare, other things like you found, a lot of not only success, but you've done a lot of good by going that route. What would be your kind of advice to somebody that's interested and maybe hasn't considered maybe this niche in the healthcare industry as a potential career path?
Yeah, great question. I get asked, every now and then that question, and I typically respond the same way. Follow your passions, right?
Mm,
I mean, we all work hard, most weeks it's 7 days a week and some portion of the day. And for me, I just follow the things that drive my thinking when I'm not supposed to be thinking about
mm,
work, right? What are the things that I'm passionate about? So find the things that when somebody doesn't have to pay you to think about it, find a
right.
way to make that your career. And I think that's, if you follow that, and that's where I am in the place I'm in right now. And I think if people can do that, then success can come however you define it. But more than anything, you can enjoy the place that you're at.
So let's move further on to United Imaging. I guess just to set the table here. So tell us a little bit more about the company.
Sure. We're about just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Man,
We've been,
congrats. Hold on. We're not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
glance over that. 10 years is a big deal.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it is. It is for a young company. 10 years is a long time. And so been international for that whole time, but really decided about 3 years ago to come to the United States. And I got a phone call and asked if I was willing to lead that effort to come to the US. So we've been here about 3 years. I've been with United Imaging about 3 years, and we're bringing change to the industry. We're bringing innovation. We're a very vision and mission focused company. The vision essentially is to be a leading innovator in our industry, and the mission is to bring equal access to equal healthcare for all, equal access to healthcare for all.
So I do want to go further into products. You mentioned the mobile version, and I want to go further into that and the nuts and bolts of what that looks like. But before that, so I mean, obviously, lots of opportunities, lots of different routes you could have went with your career. The idea of leading the U.S. efforts, like what drew you to this company? Like, what was that thing that was like, okay, this is something special?
Yeah, I mean, I've had fun jobs and interesting jobs for a long time in the United
Mhm.
States, but also globally. And most of the last 10 years were probably spent in global positions. And
Yeah.
this was an opportunity really to make a difference in the United States and do it
Mhm.
in a way and with a company that just hasn't happened in my career. And I don't expect will happen again in my
Mhm.
career. A company that like this, that not just, there are a lot of companies that come into our industry with
Yeah.
a product or a couple of products, but with a broad array of multimodality products, having
Mhm.
MRI and CT, PET CT, X-ray, and more things on the way. It was an opportunity to do that and do it in a way that, like I said before, you can bringing high-end technology to parts of the United States that haven't typically received it and gotten it.
Mhm. What are some of the effects of that? Because that's a big theme and a big part of the healthcare for all movement that really United Imaging is working towards. Like, I don't want to assume that everybody watching understands like what that means to bring this imaging and these things to rural areas or areas that wouldn't normally have them. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I mean, typical innovation,
Mhm.
rightfully so, starts in academic centers, and we have
Yeah.
academic partnerships, and we'll be building more of those in the coming years for sure, because you want to work closely together with academic
Mhm.
partners, clinical partners, in order to build equipment that makes sense for patients.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes a long time before a new technology gets out to another hospital, even in a
Mhm.
in a larger network that's associated with an academic center. The center facility a lot of times will get the best technology or the newest technology
Mhm.
innovations, and we're just trying to speed up that process. And we're doing
Yeah.
it through the way we bring the products to market. I mean, one of the things that we talk about is all in. And all in means when you buy a piece of equipment from us, whether you're in Manhattan in New York or Manhattan, Kansas, you're going to get a fully configured system with all the latest, greatest bells and whistles.
Awesome.
And we also have something called software upgrades for life, which means that if you have a service contract with us, those new innovations that you didn't
Mm,
know existed when you bought your system in 2019, 2023, when something new comes out, software capabilities come out, those will be delivered as well, because we want to make sure that those things, when the innovation happens, doesn't just stay in that academic center. It gets
yeah.
out, and patients that would have to drive 3 hours or 6 hours or fly somewhere can get it in their local community.
Yeah, and I think some from the patient side of things, what happens is a lot of times, like if this isn't available in their area, that like maybe sometimes things don't get treated, and maybe sometimes there's some big health ramifications due to that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in my own family,
Mm.
I've been in the imaging industry for a while, 25, 30 years. And during
Just a
that
little
period of
while.
time, yeah, a little while, probably longer than some of your viewers have been around. So, but my family invariably over time, as we've had illnesses and sicknesses, and making sure, that they get the best imaging capability isn't always easy, where
Yeah.
everybody lives. And, that's just, it's always going to be a challenge, I guess, but it's one of the
Mhm.
things that one of the walls and barriers to good healthcare that we're trying to break down.
Yeah. And then the software upgrades. So to me, I mean, obviously I don't own a hospital or anything, but I own an iPhone, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I like, I don't want to have to like just give it to me. Come on. So then, I mean, the patients benefit, obviously the systems, the doctors, the networks, the people. I'm guessing what happens is like when people are going on, I've never done this, but if you're in procurement or if you're out there thinking about like what you're going to use as a solution for your hospital or otherwise, like you're thinking about things like this. Like, so it sounds like even on that side of things for the hospitals or the procurement side, like the user journey is kind of planned out. Like you're looking for real meaningful long-term relationships.
Yeah, I think our industry over time has changed quite a bit. When I first started, a lot of it was about technology, who
Yeah.
had the most slices, who had the most channels, and all those
Yeah.
things. And then we went into a period of kind of return on investment. But
Hmm.
I think now we're in a phase of kind of future proofing, where
Mm,
people know, that it's difficult to get funding. Capital funding doesn't come along very often. And
yeah.
you just want to make sure that when you buy something, you're sure that it's going to be, competitive
Yeah.
in a few years. And those are the kinds of solutions we're trying to bring, because that's what customers are asking us for.
No, makes perfect sense. So I know in your industry and in your kind of your niche, you're known as a category disruptor. I mean, tell me a little bit more about how you're getting that reputation.
Yeah, by bringing the right team of people together to create disruption. I think that's the key. We're relatively new compared to our competitors, and our industry is full of giants, full of
Yeah.
companies that have been around for a long time. And we're coming in with a very, very powerful, innovative
Hmm.
portfolio that's setting benchmarks in different modalities, and super excited about being able to do that. But we, here in the United States especially, we can't just disrupt with technology, similar to
Yeah.
a little bit about what I just said. We have to innovate on the business side. So we're really
Hmm.
taking a unique approach to that, and the way we put our offerings together, but our
Hmm.
service model. How do we take care of customers in the long term? We have the same expectations on us that all the big industry players have,
Hmm.
and we have to be established and mature in
Yeah.
those ways that customers demand it, but also young and nimble and fast, and in ways that we see they also demand it, that the traditional industry can't provide.
Hmm. What excites you in the industry right now? Like what trends are you seeing? Because I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time, as mentioned. I mean, you've seen a lot of changes. I'm sure there's more coming up on the horizon. Like what excites you right now?
I mean, there's a lot of technical innovation,
Hmm.
along the lines of hybrid systems. So PET CT, there's a lot going on. I mean, we have the a total body system that was total body PET CT system that we brought to the market a couple of years ago, and super excited about that. And there's some innovation around that space, where you can look at faster imaging, or more higher resolution imaging, and do there's a new field called theranostics, where
Hmm.
we're very excited about being a part of that. Um, Artificial intelligence is another thing. There's a lot of it's a buzzword in every industry. We start to see some real applications with that. that can, improve image quality or lower dose, or
Hmm.
improve the, I guess, decrease the amount of time that a patient has, spends in a scanner. Nobody likes to go in those tubes, and so we're trying to reduce that amount of time. So there's a lot going on there, but I think, the things that are happening on the business side are equally as interesting, and we like to think that we're kind of at the center of that. I mentioned before, it transitioned from return on investment to future security.
Hmm.
We're doing things to make sure that technology moves through the healthcare system and tries to get out to as many places as possible, as quickly as possible, but also give a, say, a long-term stability to the planning that our customers can do. They know if they buy this equipment, that they don't have to worry as much about an innovation that would come out in a few years, because the software that they're going to have is going to have, most of the innovation happens in software anyway.
Hmm.
The real change of innovation, and that stuff would be provided, as a part of a relationship with us.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk more about, or a little bit about, just what makes United Imaging special from the inside, like the company culture, like some of the things that you're doing as a leader there, to really kind of push this forward.
That's one of the best things about this job that I have, is the team that I've been able to put together. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not easy. It's not easy what we're doing. It hasn't been an easy job, because we're trying to change a lot of things and build a lot of things at the same time and provide stability all together. But I think, from the very beginning, I focused on, a team of people that would be industry leaders and thought leaders, and who understood, what the industry required,
Hmm.
but who didn't want to do the things the way that the industry had always done things, if we could change things. And I think, having that culture, the very first thing that I did with my management team was we sat down and spent a day on what's the culture look like, and we've
Yeah.
made changes, in the organization, and in order to be true to that over time, and we continue to be committed to that.
What's your plan for expansion going forward? So tell us a little bit more about like what you envision, where you envision the company going in the U.S. market.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest challenges, is
Hmm.
managing change and investment, at the right pace, not
Hmm.
getting too over your skis, and being able to be fueled by that. We have great support from headquarters to invest where we need to invest. We started coast to coast. I have employees from Seattle down to San Diego, from Miami
Hmm.
up to Connecticut, maybe even further now. I have to think about my geography, and spots in between. So we're prepared to grow and scale. We build an infrastructure in Houston, with a picture behind me, but a service infrastructure for training new employees, training service engineers, bringing customers to. So we have that I mentioned maturity. We had to have that infrastructure, a good enough infrastructure to be able to grow. But then as we every time we put a system in a new state or a new city,
Hmm.
there needs to be some local infrastructure too. So we've been very committed to that as well from the very beginning, that when a customer joins us, they're going to have local support, they're going to have local service parts to make sure that they're kept up and running. And so, we're gonna grow from the places that we have already had some early
Hmm.
success, from a regional standpoint, and then also expand even further. I mean, one of the things that we will begin to do even more is to grow say the footprint of our
Hmm.
field organization, to make sure that we're where our customers are. And we're going to stick to the messages that we've been giving, our innovative portfolio, and the support that we're going to provide both right now and in the future, and believe that is it's ringing true in the market. We have a lot of momentum, and we just need to
Hmm.
continue to fuel that.
And so I'm interested to hear kind of like some of the feedback here, because I guess let me paint the picture for what I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but been around a little over 3 years now here nationally, I should say, in the United States, right? And so you're definitely going against some giants out there, but you're definitely bringing a lot of innovation along the line, not just on the technology side, but also on the business side. And you're really insulating for the future of like your clients with things like what you mentioned just now, making sure that that they're taken care of locally as you open up new markets, and but also with the software upgrades and all of that stuff. So I'm interested to hear like what is the, you know, you're over there, you're poking the giants, you're poking at them a little bit, you're definitely disrupting the space. What kind of feedback have you gotten, whether it's from clients, the industry overall, like as a newer kid on the block, so to speak?
So when we started the first, so we have a big trade show in Chicago every year, and in
Mhm,
2018, we kind of introduced ourselves to the United States market, and a lot of people knew. Some people knew, I shouldn't say a lot. Some
mhm,
people knew who we were, but a lot of people didn't know who we were. I mean, people
mm,
literally coming up to our booth saying, "Who are you guys? Never heard of you." Googling United Imaging at the side of our booth to try to figure out who we were before they stepped in. I mean, all kinds of great stories. And I think over time we just have made sure that we hit every mark and that we
mhm,
provide the best customer care that we can, and that reputation starts to grow. I mean, we have been committed to each other internally, that
mhm,
every single customer will be a reference site. And I don't mean just I find one person in an institution that would
mhm.
be a reference site, that I can find, multiple people and anybody that we interact with, whether it's from the very beginning of the sales process or
Yeah.
through installation and support, that they will be happy to talk to a customer. I think, we've achieved that. And, and the feedback we're getting is very, very positive, that they like the way we work with them. They like the
Mhm,
way we deal with them. We like the way we take care of them. When there's bumps in the road, we're immediately there with them and trying to
mhm.
make sure that that similar bump that we just saw doesn't show up, in the future, and working hands in hand with them as best we can. So, it's most of the relationships that we have either with each other or with customers are new ones, and we just want to continue to solidify those and support them the best we can.
Awesome. I feel like we should spend just a moment or so on also just like the international presence. So I know that you run the United States and that part of the distribution, but tell us a little bit more maybe about just the presence globally.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I have a partner who runs the say international business. We
Mhm,
call it international business development, and he oversees everything in Europe, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and some parts of Asia.
mhm,
And he is also doing very similar things that we're doing, and we work side by side very well. We work, even share some personnel, because we have some people that we've employed in the United States based on experience levels that are supporting other parts of the
mhm.
country. And he has people on his team that are experts that we can draw off of. And he's had great success as well,
Yeah.
in putting systems all over the world and growing that business. And maybe there's a little bit of internal competition to see who can grow the fastest. And but great partner, and
Mhm.
also similar opportunities and similar kinds of feedback that he gets from his customers too.
Man, what a great story. This is fun. Gotta ask, so what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for United Imaging? Like where do you go from here?
Some part of me wishes I could say that it's more of the same, because we're really gaining momentum right now. And
Yeah.
we talk a lot about being a dragster, where the wheels are hot, the tires are gaining grip,
Mhm.
and we're gaining momentum, and the g forces that are being applied right now. I just want my team to continue to do those same things,
Yeah.
right, to continue to speed ahead and everything. But
Mhm,
the reality is, there's more change coming. We
mhm,
see competitors reacting to some of the things that we brought to change, right? And we know that things are going to be changing around us.
mhm.
So we just have to continue to innovate, and we have to keep changing where appropriate. So for right now, what I look forward to is the acceleration, because we might be moving faster than everybody right now, but
Mhm.
when the acceleration kicks in, because of a lot of the things we put in place already globally, I think that acceleration is where it's going to be really exciting. So for right now, it's focus, look straight ahead, and, hit our strategy marks. Don't get distracted by, things off to the side. Keep the pedal to the metal, keep moving, and shift gears at the right time. As a dragster, we got to make sure that if there is change, we anticipate it and we move to the the next level of acceleration at the right time, because we still have a lot of work to do. The
Hmm.
finish line is ahead, but it's still, to consider a victory. I don't consider anything we've done as a victory, because victory that we want is much bigger than what we've achieved so far.
Man, big deal. That's awesome. So first off, this has been great, like getting to know more about your background, of course, what you're doing at United Imaging, how you're really serving as a category disruptor and future proofing for your clients. That big decision making of of what product to go with in this case. I mean, it's a big deal, big investment, of course, and the people that are in charge of this have to make sure they're doing the right thing. So awesome there. That being said, so if somebody's watching this right now and they want to learn more about United Imaging, what's the best way for them to follow up and to connect with you and your team?
Probably a great place to start is LinkedIn. So the United Imaging North America website or LinkedIn page, great place. Follow us.
Mhm,
We're always putting out news. Put some stuff out today
mhm.
or yesterday, sometime this week. There will be stuff usually every Monday or so. You're going to hear from us. That's a great place. There's links there to our website. If you want some more information, detailed product information, we don't typically put on LinkedIn, but join us on LinkedIn, join the conversation. We're excited to talk to anybody who wants to learn more about us.
Fantastic. Well, Jeffrey, again, really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing more about what you're doing over at United Imaging. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Have many more mission-based entrepreneurs, executives, and experts coming on, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Jeffrey, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure too. Thanks for having me.